good to have you back. What you just heard was the Moog Subharmonicon, a new synthesizer that is also the topic of today's video. But before we get to that, thank you everybody who pre-ordered my new album Assertion. As the time of filming, close to 100 have already been pre-ordered. That makes me incredibly happy. If you want to order one, it's on heinbach.bandcamp.com. And now the best banana synthesizer store in the world, Patchpoint Berlin, also carries copies, which is important for those of you in Europe because you'll save a bunch on shipping. When Moog first messaged me and asked if I want to do a video on the Sub-harmonicon and gave me the brief on it, I was incredibly excited. The main reason for that was that the Sub-harmonicon took inspiration from early electronic music history, which is a topic very dear to my heart. When the unit arrived, that excitement abated a little, but more about that later. The Sub-harmonicon takes inspiration from two almost forgotten instruments from the 1930s. The Russian-made Rhythmicon, designed by Theremin of Theremin fame, and the Trautonium, made by Trautwein and further developed on by its main player Oskar Sala. I'm personally familiar with the Trautonium, having visited, for example, the Deutsche Museum, where you can see Oskar Sala's studio, and I've never heard of the Rhythmicon, so I went into a deep dive on both instruments and tried to discover ways in which what I learned from the past can be applied to playing the Sub-harmonicon. Since I'm taking a wider focus with my video, if you're looking for details, check out my buddy Lupop's video. We actually collaborated on this, A, because I very much respect his work, and B, because it's a nice way out of the whole launch day competition where everybody is reviewing the same gear. A brief overview. The left side is ruled by the sequencer functions, and we've got two step sequences here with 4 steps. These are meant for notes. And then we've got the polyrhythm section. And this is the polyrhythm section, which is based on said Rhythmicon. And you can route the direction of the rhythm to either sequencer 1 or sequencer 2. And this defines the speed of the rhythms. Here is the main tempo for everything. And you've got a reset, so the sequencer will reset. This will trigger the envelope generator. The next button will advance to the next step, which is either handy for manual playing or also for programming. Play will just start the sequence, and trigger will trigger the sequence. The sequencing section of the Sub-harmonicon, which has its roots in the Rhythmicon but develops further onto that, is rather interesting and very versatile, even though it doesn't look like it at first. It actually is pretty simple. You've got 2 sequencers and they can both run at different times, and the timings of those are set by 4 knobs. The important thing is these knobs are not infinite. You don't get an infinite scale of micro timings. All of these timings are related to the bass pitch, basically what the clock knob says or what your external clock is. It's best to run it at audio rate so you can hear how the different speeds relate harmonically. So the limitation to the multiplication as exposed by the Rhythmicon enables you to stay in time, no matter how far your relationships vary. So at some point all the beats will connect on the downbeat again. On the original Rhythmicon there was another setting for syncopation, but I couldn't find too much out about that because there were only 3 made as far as I can see, and I could only experience it by watching a video on Ableton Loop. And there you can see how it sounds in real life. The original Rhythmicon was created to make moves that no human being could play at the same time. Similarly, the Sub-harmonicon enables you to create polyrhythms, which are very exciting and perfect for all kinds of dance music. In the middle, we've got the 2 oscillators and their sub-oscillators. The oscillators have square wave and saw wave and a mixture between the 2, as well as independent pitch control of all the divisions. These are the mixers for the oscillators, and here we can assign where the sequence is going to, either to oscillator 1, sub 1, sub 2, oscillator 2, sub 1, sub 2, and also how many octaves this should control. And then we've got a way to quantize the pitch of the sequencer to the oscillators using this quantize button. You can choose between 12-note equal temperament, 8-note equal temperament, 12-tone just temperament, and 8-note just temperament. If you want to play with a piano or fretted instruments or have a bunch of key changes, go for equal tone. If you can't tune everything yourself or staying within a key, the just tone is the way to go. At least that's my personal preference. I enjoy the more clean intervals. The Trautonium, which is presented in the Sub-harmonicon by the middle section with the oscillators, has been a dream of mine for a long time to play with. The last time I heard Ludwig play the Trautonium, the smaller and still being made version of the Trautonium, I was utterly entranced. That doesn't mean the Sub-harmonicon isn't beautiful. What it can do is provide you with rich chords and textures that blend in perfectly, for example, for ambient music. How that works is similar to the original Trautonium. You've got a main oscillator and then 2 sub-oscillators. The sub-harmonic oscillators are tuned to a scale similar to harmonics, just in the other direction. They are divided down. In this section, we've got the controls for the filter and envelopes. This is the standard 24 decibel Moog ladder filter. So we're going up and down the ladder again with cutoff, resonance, and here we've got the envelope generator for that and the amount of the envelope. And this is for the VCA, the voltage controlled amplifier, as well as a volume knob for everything. The reason for my initial disappointment with the Subharmonicon is paradoxically the reason why people love Moog synthesizers often, and that's the 24 decibel ladder filter, which is also in here. That is because the Trautonium didn't use a simple low pass. It had bandpass filters that could be tuned to formants. And Oskar Sala himself was very much proud of that, about the vowely sound that his instrument could deliver. So you can make notes that go ah. To achieve this with the Subharmonicon, I made use of the Schwayman Res 4, because that is a set of 4 bandpass filters that can be tuned in the relationships that you need for Formant synthesis. Of course, you can do this with bandpass filters in your digital audio workstation, and you don't need an expensive URX system for that. The relationships for these formats are different from language to language, which I found rather interesting. Here's a table for the English language that I pulled from Gordon Reed's Synth Secrets series, which is an absolute must-read on Sound on Sound. With the addition of a Formant filter, the Subharmonicon becomes to me much more lyrical and something that reminds me more of what I had hoped for in regards to the past influencing the present. If a Formant filter was there instead of the ladder filter, I would have been blissed out. But then again, I would have lost a lot of the other possibilities of this synthesizer. The first thing I thought when I saw 2 oscillators with a patch matrix and 2 sub-oscillators each, I have to cross-modulate them. Schranz is never far away with cross-modulation. And the ladder filter really helps in that regard, because it enables you to clean up the sound and then make it dirty again. And I realized how much more this is designed to be a live instrument for modern electronic music and not something, that's an avant-garde retro kind of instrument, which I would have completely loved, but yeah, this can do other things. Due to all the pitch relationships being related and always under control, you're free to make it chaotic, but can keep some kind of harmonic resemblance going, so it's just not harsh noise. Which of course you can also do. Nothing against harsh noise. It's a good thing. One thing that the Moog filter also enables is to use this as a drum synthesizer. here's the patch field. So you can break out a lot of the functions to a modular system or other standalone synthesizers. And as usual with a semi-modular, there is just not enough of these, because sometimes I want to control the VCA decay. At least I do that on my modular a lot. That's missing here. But of course I can always patch in an external envelope and use that instead, which is again the beauty of modular. The semi-modular nature of the Subharmonicon means it can be expanded upon easily with the Eurorack modular system, and it can be also put in one. So it can be formed into any instrument you want it to be. On its own, the Subharmonicon is one of the most versatile synthesizers, much more so than I had thought, because it is truly more than the sum of its parts. If you are looking to make the Subharmonicon sound more like a Trautonium, well, Oskar Sala employed in his later works harmonizers. In the same way that the Sub-harmonic series goes down, with the harmonizer you can go up. So he used them to create harmonies up top, especially fifth and the third, tuning them often to the just relationship instead of the equal tuning relationship. To whom would I recommend the Subharmonicon? Well, this is definitely not a good first synthesizer. This is a bit more advanced than usual, and that's due to the complexity of the ideas that come together and interplay. It's very easy to just create a mess out of everything, and it requires a bit of timing and restraint to get the most out of it and start with the minimal and then go into the more maximal. And then it becomes a very powerful and playable instrument that I have no doubt will find its way into many different styles of music. It was tough to find the time to record the talky parts of this video, simply because I wanted to make more and more music with it. For me, in ambient, this becomes a pad and harmony machine, while in rhythmic music, this excels at upfront melodies, something that can drive a whole track. If you want to try out how it sounds at home, I'll be putting up a sound pack on the Patreon as well as music. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, do leave in the comments below or visit the subreddit. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.